مهديو وكسامين هذا نمكي بيد الهبان هذه أضمن كوسا بينا رجابا نشوفنا ما يعي واحد يا سعيد فارح عمر دي واحد يا شيخ بيدي بكوه هنين يا إيب كذي وحيد واحد بكوه هنين يا أنا دي واحد يا لسا دي بقيمها يسكت سبها النقطة دنوجو كاسنا دين كروياي سافر.
Somaliland is a breakaway republic that in 2010 held successful internationally recognized democratic elections. However, due to the lack of recognition from the African Union, Somaliland struggles to be recognized by the international community as its own country, independent of Somalia. In fact, Somaliland's success in keeping stability while located in a conflict area has earned the country the designation by foreign policy as a green zone. Somaliland is one of only 3 green zones in the world, and this important designation signals the need to support and encourage their efforts for peace. Even if you've never used frankincense and myrrh, you've probably at least heard of it. Frankincense and myrrh were gifts brought to baby Jesus by the wise men. It was used by the Egyptians in embalming, and still today it's burned in churches and places of worship across the world. It's chewed as a gum, it's a highly prized incense, and has remarkable medicinal properties. Current medical research is producing treatments and patents for both arthritis and cancer. Frankincense and myrrh are resins that come from trees. These trees only grow in parts of the Horn of Africa and the Middle East, mainly along the Red Sea. Somaliland has 2 main species of frankincense, both endemic to Somaliland. Boswellia carteri, locally called mohor, and Boswellia ferriana, locally called mehedi. These species are not found anywhere else in the world. And the name of this valley, this mountain area?
It's the Golis Range.
Golis Range?
Yeah, the Golis Mountains.
These are the Golis Mountains. We're still at it, and you can see we're trying to keep following this pretty much camel path here in the dark, and we're all getting kind of excited to get to our destination and get out of the car. And here the men are having a good time in the back seat, and Jamal's doing a great job of keeping us all safe. We're at about 1,500 meters above sea level, and it is quite the adventure here. We're told that we're about 45 kilometers to the ocean, to the coastline, and the Golis Mountains run from just outside Arigabo, where the terrain is really flat. It's a highland plateau. Very rocky though for driving, but flat. And then we come up into the Golis Mountains here, and we're going to continue till we get to our campsite tonight. And tomorrow we'll get to take some more videotape of this spectacular landscape that we're in.
dadka la xiriirka biyada kala ganacsada ururiya dibaatada ugu weyn waxay ka haysataa dadka xagga qiimaha oo hooseeya marka sida darteed geedkii uu dhintay waxaana dira geedka baahida markii ay wixii hoos u dhaceen ayaa dadku iska guraan had iyo jeer kuwa maalgelinta ku sameeyana aanay ka helin hantiga ka gala sidaas darteed baashaas wax qabtaa dib iyo dadka gura iyo ka ganacsada oo aanay ku kala bixi karin hadhow inta ayaa ku soo gabagabeeyay magacaygana wax laga saarax maxamuud faarax waadna salaaman tahay iibka beeyadana waa kugu soo dhaweynaynaa.
We've arrived at the site where the frankincense trees are growing, and you can see them growing right out of the side of the cliff. You can imagine how difficult it must be to harvest, but apparently they like to grow on rocky outcrops. Now these trees have not been tapped yet. These trees have not been harvested yet. But you see how they grow. Here down here it's hard to see, but we have quite a very mature one here. And here's our students. This man is one of the harvesters. We're trying to determine how he gets down onto those cliffs. Very dangerous job. They're pointing out to me that this cave was a house of harvesters over hundreds of years ago. They used these as storage areas as well. And now they live up here on the top of the cliff.
Yeah, the one is grows there. And the one you said you seen before was it was mohor. And mohor is the one that you have a liquid with.
Yep.
But that's another thing. That's the best quality.
That's the best quality trees up there.
Yeah.
And very difficult to reach.
Yeah, and so difficult to reach. But they're growing there.
And that cave there, is that an old frankincense? Is that an old cave where frankincense harvestors were living?
The cave is there when they collect. When they collect the might, then they collect there, and then they can sleep during the night. Yeah. But mainly they collect the products. This is and older than me, but I don't know how old is. When I was a child, he was here.
When he was a child, this tree was here. And how old is he?
I'm 40 years old.
And we saw 40-year-old trees today, and they were much smaller. So this tree, maybe 100 or so. So here's an active cut in the frankincense tree, and you can see there's where the cut's made, and then the resin is dripping all the way down the tree. There's another active harvesting spot. He's showing us that further up the cliff here, there's many more frankincense trees. We've just walked this cliff from down there in the bottom of the river valley. You can see the village there where they live. So here the women are sorting the initial product and separating out the leaves and other parts of the resin that are not commercial grade and separating it into this, which is the final product for sale. And that's the frankincense. And these women are sitting here 12 hours a day, making $1 a kilo, on some days only a half a kilo, and average 2 kilos a day, making up to $2 a day.
First thing, we have some problems just managing the trees. We have problems because people are stealing, over-harvesting after we harvest what we need. And what's gonna happen is two things is gonna happen. The tree is gonna be over-harvested, and also we're gonna lose the trees as well. And in the process we lost many trees. And the trees that we are harvesting is over 100 years old. Mm-hmm. So you see, it takes time to get the new trees. So, in conclusion, we need a reliable market that really, a real buyer. So it's not something who's really just making money out of you, but somebody who wants to buy and really put something back into the farmers as well. And we also need some kind of a regulation or that somebody who can, in terms of government, or maybe, that we lack the regulation by the government to look after the trees. Then, what we can eliminate is at least over-harvesting out the stealers or the...
As my colleague Ilhan Jama was referring to in her interview, one of the biggest problems facing the frankincense industry and the frankincense trees themselves is the lack of government controls. Harvesters sell their product to any buyer with whom they have the opportunity, often underbidding each other in a desperate attempt to sell their resin, thus driving the low prices even lower. Currently, reported selling prices for frankincense range from $1 to $10 per kilo. This same frankincense After it crosses the Red Sea and reaches the Middle Eastern market, is sold for $25 to $50 per kilo. The people involved in this industry are trapped into a situation with little chance to gain and sometimes not even break even after a harvesting season. The low selling price, the overharvesting of the trees, the rising food prices, inflating currency, drought attributed to climate change, and scarce opportunity for other jobs exacerbate this difficult situation. So what are some of the solutions to these problems? Well, one of the first ones is an outreach and educational campaign to let people know what's happening in Somaliland, to educate the international buyers and consumers, to educate the harvesters themselves so they understand the value of their product on the world market, and also to correct the historical record of Africa's involvement in this trade. Some of the other solutions include creating fair trade frankincense, encouraging sustainable businesses already operating in the region, determining sustainable levels of harvesting and overall tree health for sustainability, empowering youth and women, facilitating the formation of a Somaliland growers cooperative, and finally designating the growing areas as protected.
السلام عليكم. magacayga waxa la Cabdiraxmaan Maxamed Jaan Cabdiraxmaan Xiisla marka waxaan ahay dadkii lahaa biyooyinka biyaashadii ka soo gaaray in badanna baasha jiilba jiilka ka dambeeyay ayuu ilaalinayeen biyada mana soo gaadheen xilligan haddaan la ilaalinayno marka mar dawladdu noo ilaaliso iyo haddeer aan nagu ilaalino iyo waqti ka horreeyaan dawladdu jirin kaada waxaan sheegaynaa macnaheedu dhaqaale burbur baa ku dhacay waddanka oo dhan bay saameeyay marka waxaan rabnaa si dadkii biyada lahaa uu helo hantidii oo baashka ku gur lahaa adiguna si aad ugu faa'iido macnaheedu biyo wanaagsan aad u hesho ta ugu muhiimsan waxa weeye hanti inuu helo qofka biyada leh oo ilaalinteedii iyo wixii qiimana ay yeelato baashi markaa oo biyo badan ay noqoto dee mataqaana quality wanaagsan marka waxaan faraynaa inaad adiga ku dhaado aad soo dadaasho laakiin maalin walba in laga duubo ama sawir ama qoraalna laga sameeyo macnaheedu hadda waanu caajisnay annaga marka waad mahadsan tahay sidaa iyo wada shaqayn wacan salaam calaykum